On the programme tonight, not one more day in paradise. Lou Macari is sacked by Celtic.
I was victimised at my work. Edinburgh district employee demands an investigation into council practices.
He claims they're moving the goalposts. Celtic have sacked their manager Lou Macari after only 8 months in the job.
The shock announcement was made by the club's managing director, Fergus McCann, who said he'd failed to meet important obligations under his contract of employment. Macari's on holiday in America, but was told the news on Tuesday before he left. Our sports correspondent Jim Dillahunt has been following the day's events.
Thanks, Viv. Celtic are now looking for the third manager in the space of 3 years after Lou Macari's departure was announced this morning. The club's new owner, Fergus McCann, was remarkably open with his criticism of Liam Brady's successor, claiming that Macari had been given a written warning about his conduct as long ago as March the 29th. He added that Macari had been spending 4 or 5 days a week at his home in Stoke and said the manager had gone ahead and booked a trip to Malaysia after being told not to do so. Macari's last signing as manager seemed to be Andy Walker, but that deal's in doubt tonight as Fergus McCann seeks a second opinion on the player's injury problems. Lou Macari arrived at Celtic 8 months ago after a successful, if controversial, managerial career in England. Spells at Swindon, West Ham and Birmingham were followed by a move to Stoke City, and Celtic had to pay compensation to the Potteries club to get Macari released from his contract.
I don't think anybody thought I was going to go, because I don't think anybody at the club sort of realised the pull of Glasgow Celtic. And it was only in the last couple of days where I probably let it be known to most people that I was going, that it hit home.
Macari's first game in charge seemed to signal a new beginning for Celtic. Victory over Rangers at Ibrox. Disappointment was to follow though, with the players reportedly unhappy with the tactics and Macari himself rarely spotted in the dressing room. A full 2 hours before the mid-morning announcement of Macari's sacking, Celtic directors and advisors arrived at Parkhead. Fergus McCann had hinted at management changes, but the announcement came as a complete surprise.
Effective from June 14th, I gave notice to Mr. Luigi Macari that he had failed to meet important obligations under his contract of employment, and that he was dismissed from his position as manager of the club. Written notice followed, including to his holiday address in the USA, where he had travelled after I spoke to him.
Some managers come into the club, are immediately successful and things take off from there. We've had a lot of problems in the club, but having said that, we want a manager to be here all the time and help us as well to do our job. And there seemed to be this absence, lack of communication was the basic thing.
As the news of Macari's sacking spread around the city, Celtic supporters had their say.
Well, I'm very pleased that Macari is out of Celtic. As far as I'm concerned, he wasn't really Celtic-minded.
Anybody here that earns a living has got to go. He's got to turn up for work every day. He's got to do what he's paid to do.
Being a personal friend of some of the players, a lot of unrest in the dressing room, no harmony, wasn't doing his job properly, wasn't interested.
The very fact that he did not move his family and only stayed here personally on a very part-time basis, did not travel with the team and so forth. I mean, I only saw him in the 10 days after coming back from CAD. I only saw him for half a day in the office here, for no reason. So I really felt that his style of management, basically from a distance, and I felt was more in the style of abdication rather than delegation. So I felt that was the only way and he'd been made that very clear to him that that was not the way to operate with when he's got 50 people here. So but he disagreed, and so we had to come to some conclusion.
That conclusion was the sack for Lou Macari. Only this week he'd seemingly signed Andy Walker. McCann now says that deal's on hold as a second opinion is sought on Walker's fitness. Tommy Burns is tonight's favourite to succeed Macari. Mark McGee is also being touted as Burns' partner.
Well, Jim, you mentioned Andy Walker there. What's the latest on his situation?
That's a strange one, Shireen, because Andy Walker has just issued a statement from his holiday home in Spain. He says he's bewildered by today's events. He said he underwent an extensive physical examination by the club doctor and physiotherapist. They confirmed to the club that I was fit to play football, he says, and as a result I signed for Celtic Football Club. On the other hand, Fergus McCann was adamant today that no contract's been signed between Celtic and Andy Walker and that a second medical opinion will be sought.
We'll wait and see. Was there any indication before today that Macari was going to be sacked?
Well, I don't think Lou Macari could be surprised by the news today because according to Fergus McCann, he was told on Tuesday. Interesting to note from Fergus McCann today that the first written warning was given to Lou Macari on March 29th. Now that would coincide with the first time that I asked Lou Macari face to face, is your job under threat? He laughed it off. Friends told me later that he had an absolutely watertight contract. It'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Will there be compensation, or has Fergus McCann got it sorted? Because he does seem to think that there has been breach of contract.
More to come on this, no doubt. Thank you, Jim.
Now, and victimised.
Fergus McCann decided Macari had to go.
There are people here who haven't taken holidays for 3 years, and he's just got here in November. That's just an indication of whether we just differed in what we felt was the importance of getting things done promptly.
How long have you suspected that he might not be the right man for the job?
Well, we've had discussions over the last 2 months, and it's clear that he does not fit in with my ideas of, or I think in any of the board ideas, or even amongst his subordinates' ideas of where he should be and what direction he should be giving to people, and being on top of things and being here.
How many times did you warn him?
Well, we've had several discussions since March.
When Fergus McCann swept to power, Lou Macari was already the manager. Kevin Kelly, chairman then and now, was one of those behind the appointment.
I don't think that was in Fergus's thinking that we had made the wrong choice. I think he was happy as long as the job was getting done. He was delighted with the appointment. It just happened within the last few months that there were signs that he wasn't going to be here as often as we demanded, and that created problems.
Celtic say Lou Macari was given news of his dismissal shortly before heading on holiday to the United States. Colleague and friend Peter Henderson says Macari is bitterly disappointed he wasn't allowed to manage the way he saw it.
Let's just say that it was a tremendous quiet on the other end of the phone. I mean, I'm obviously deeply shocked. I don't know the exact position of my own job, but I know exactly what he'll be feeling because, I mean, the times I've worked with him, all he's talked about is Celtic, and it's a great part of his life, I think, Celtic Football Club, and I really just can't describe what he must be feeling just now.
Andy Walker thought he'd been re-signed for Celtic by Lou Macari on Monday, but the club now says his transfer from Bolton isn't complete until it gets a second medical opinion on Walker's recovery from knee trouble. Walker said tonight he was bewildered. Pat Bonner's move from Celtic to Kilmarnock may hang in the balance as well. He said he'll sign, but a new manager might persuade him to stay, and he's still a registered Celtic player. Former Celtic star Tommy Burns is the Kilmarnock manager, and he seems certain to be the top target as replacement for Macari. Also in the frame is another ex-Celtic player, Mark McGee, who's had a successful management spell at Reading. Rob McLean, reporting Scotland.
And the